Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. I'm back with my new series that we're going to be doing every single week, the score for daily racing. Now in this video we're going to try and help you out with the current week's daily races to try and help you improve your DR and SR throughout the week. Now if you do enjoy these videos, get subscribed to the channel, it all helps me out. Hit the like button, it all helps the channel out. And if you are a member of the channel at either Legend or Ultimate Legend tier, you will get 1 day early access on these videos. Now everyone else will receive them on the Tuesday, so if you're watching this and you're not a member and it's come out on the Tuesday, it has been out a day early for them members that are at the Legend tier or the Ultimate Legend tier. Now we're going to go straight into Daily Race A, which I've gave a SR safety rating of average. I think this race isn't too dangerous. I think it could be quite entertaining. We went straight into this race with no real practice. We did a couple of laps warm up, starting from the back of the grid, and we're going to try and give you some help in terms of trying to know what to look out for in this race, know what to do in terms of braking, and we're going to go through each daily race like this, and we're going to give a very brief track guide as we go through each one of these races as well, and point out a few other things that might help you out in this race. So starting from the back here, you can see first things first is be a little bit cautious into turn one. We're going to show you this pretty much every lap. You're going to see people running wide into turn one. It's very, very common. This car is extremely low grip. You can see we're on comfort soft tyres there. I do think that PD would have been better putting sports medium tyres or something like that on this car, or sports hard tyres, just something with a little bit more grip to be able to throw this around. But yeah, it is extremely slidey. You're going to see that as we go over the curbs, it's very, very likely to slide if you hit the curb wrong. So just be very, very cautious with this car. It's a good fun race. It's not the fastest car you're ever going to come across. You can put some parts on the car. It won't make any difference to the performance. So you can see I'm running a spoiler and the different body kit on the car. It makes zero difference to how fast this car is. But yeah, it just looks like a race car that you're racing rather than a road car. So going into these next corners, you can see there we're getting closer to the cars in front. Now be very, very cautious here, because it's going to be very easy to go into another car there with the way the brakes are. And again, you can see how slidey this car is. If you don't get that braking right, you're going to lose all the way up that long straight. Now we're going to show you again how important this turn one is, because just check this out as we're going into turn one. You're going to see multiple cars lose control and go too deep and slide through the corner. It's because this car is very tricky to keep in the limits of the track, and also to stop it from sliding out. So 2 cars off there, and we're already up to P5 in this race because people are basically just making mistakes. So this race is all about survival, keeping it on the track. We're going to have a little look around the outside here, but definitely too risky to go for a move there. You can see I actually back out of that, because you do not really want to go side by side through this section of track at Road Atlanta. It's going to probably lead to a disastrous situation. But we're going to tuck into the slipstream to P4 now, and just use that slipstream to help us on this little bit of a straight. Now this isn't the fastest car that you're going to come across, so the slipstream isn't super powerful, but when you do pick it up, it is going to make a bit of a difference. As again there, P4 sliding through that corner, it really does show just how slippery this track is on these tyres with this car. I definitely think sports hard tyres would have made this a little bit more interesting in terms of the racing, but I'm sure once you get used to it, you'll have a lot of fun in this combo. It's definitely a decent little combo for a daily race A, and it's what daily race A's are pretty much about. You know, road cars, a lot of close racing. That's what you're going to get eventually when everyone's up to speed on this combo. Now we're going to go for a little look at an overtake here, but you can see he defends this perfect, and I definitely recommend showing you this here now as an idea of where to how to defend this corner. If you defend on the inside there, it makes it extremely difficult for my line running the purple line to try and go around the outside. Now one thing you can do is try and do a fake on a car there to try and get it positioned on. That's going to be your main overtaking opportunity on this track, unless someone makes a mistake like Diddy did just there. He ran a little bit too wide. Maybe he ran over some baby oil on the track there, I'm not too sure, but Diddy lost a bit of time there, and we're up into P4. So we're going to push further on now and see if we can catch up to P3, and we're going to give you a very basic rundown of a lap on this daily race A. So using the end of the barrier as a reference for our braking now, this is the corner you've got to get right. Now one thing I do recommend is maybe keeping a little bit of throttle in as you go through this corner. As you can see I'm doing there, it seems to stabilize the car as we do in the MR cars in Group 3 a lot of the way through the corners. A bit of cadence braking there to try and help you. Now the next braking zone, we're using the last white line there, the dotted white line, braking early, and that'll give you the ability to get over the curb. Now you can be very aggressive on that curb there, using a lot of that through the corner, and then it's pretty much flat out for this corner. You might see I give a little lift going down here. That's because I'm not 100% confident with this track yet, but when you get used to it, you shouldn't need to do that. Now, braking very early for this section. The reason we're braking super early is because you do not want to be sliding this car through, so you want to keep it under control. You don't want to be braking as late as possible and then drift in the corner and just losing an endless amount of time. Now, again, into this next braking reference, you're going to keep your eye out on that 300 ball. Now, you're going to brake a little later than when we did the guide for the Ford Focus, because we're obviously going a little bit slower in this car, so you're going to keep an eye on that 300. We're actually going to brake slightly past the 300 there. You can see ever so fraction past it, and again, just trying to keep the car smooth as we go into the apex of the corner. And again, onto the brakes pretty much straight away when you've got the car in a straight line. Now, the reason we're braking early is because this is a slow in, fast out corner. Like most corners in racing, slow in, fast out is the way to do them, and that is really an important corner to do that as we pick up a little bit more slipstream from P2 down this long straight. And then we're going to be looking for our next braking reference, which we are going to use this board here. Very nicely put there by PD, the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta board. You're going to brake pretty much dead on that. Now, remember, this is my rough guide. We only did one race. You are going to be able to push these braking zones a little bit more, but this is going to give you a very rough guide of where and how to brake on this track. Now, completely flat out through here, basically. A little lift on the second part of the chicane, just in case you're going to run wide. You do not want to run wide because you do not want to get dirty tyres in this car. I can tell you that this grip is very low even when you're on the racing line. So yeah, be very cautious of that. Now, that's a lap completed there, so hopefully that little track guide will help you out, but we're going to see if we can catch up to P2. And again, this is just going to show you how tricky this is. Look at P2. That is how easy it is to lose control on this combination with that car. Now, by the time we got to the end of the race there, we managed to hold on for a P2 from the back of the grid, which I'm pretty happy about. And yeah, this is a race of playing it very safe. I think the safer you play this, the SR is going to be a benefit. Now, remember, there is no DR in this race. It's all about safety, really. So safety is what matters for Daily Race A. Now we're going to move on to Daily Race B at Grand Valley in Group 3 on racing hard tyres. Yeah, I think we all would prefer a bit more grip, maybe softs or mediums. Now, I've put the SR safety for this week as low risk because this seems like the safest race you can do this week in terms of your SR. It's a pretty hard track to overtake on, in all honesty. You can do a move at the end of this straight, but it's quite a straightforward track. A lot of the middle section is a case of just following the car in front and trying to keep it as safe as possible. Now, you can see I've gone with -3 brake bias for this car. You might want to go with -2, but I definitely recommend minus. If you go to the rear, it's going to slide a lot. And one thing that is going to be really difficult for people at this week's Daily Race B is the dirty tyres. Now, a lot of you will know that they've changed the way dirty tyres work a couple of months ago, well, quite a few months ago. So any tyre, even if it's just your right tyre, if it goes onto the sand or the gravel or the dirt on the side of the track, it will pick up dirty tyres. And a track like this, it makes it extremely difficult. There's not really many curbs on this track. If you look, there's no real curb to use. You're just going straight into the dirt almost. So you have to be very precise with how you drive. You see, I picked up a little bit of dirt on the side there on the exit, and we're actually sliding there as we've got Max Power also in the Porsche, his normal Porsche that he drives a lot of the time. I think we both really enjoy this Porsche car. We went straight into this. We'd just driven the Nissan GTR. Now, my view on the Nissan GTR versus the Porsche around here is that the GTR is a safer bet in terms of the way it handles. Obviously, with it being FR, it's definitely a safer car. However, I found personally the Porsche a lot easier to get the pace out of in this combination. It felt the pace just came, even on not so great lap, the Porsche felt quicker. So you might want to give the Porsche a go. I think it's definitely a quick car here. Other cars that you might want to give a go are the BMW. Our tyres might be a bit sketchy, but I'm pretty sure it'll be pretty quick here. Genesis, very difficult to drive around here, but will be quick. But yeah, that car is probably not best suited to the lower ranked drivers. I think the GTR will be a very good car if you're low ranked to keep it consistent, as Max Power is going to go for a move on the left hand side. Now, what you're going to see here is how difficult it is to go for a move here. We're going to pause it there. As long as I hold a line towards the inside, I get the camber of the corner, and going around that outside, you are going to, if you brake late like he's done there, you're going to get very low grip from the outside. You don't really get much grip on the camber of the corner there, and we've been able to hold that inside pretty comfortably there and stay in P1. So very tricky corner to get a move done. One of the best things you can do in that corner to get an overtake done is probably go for a fake and get yourself over to the right hand side. So yeah, maybe consider that as I go straight into the barrier there, making a mistake, which is going to give Max the lead in this race. Now, I wasn't too worried about going ultra defensive and trying to cut him off there, you know, go defensive to the inside. I just thought we'll let him back through because we're coming up to one of the longest straights in the game where you can get that slipstream. So if I judge this right, try and concentrate on the exit of this corner as we do there. Max gets a little bit sideways. Now that's helpful in a way, although I would have rather he got a better exit, because what I'm trying to do now is, you can see I'm staying out of the slipstream, because what we don't want to do is get right up behind him at this stage. We want to judge the slipstream, and that's really important at this week's daily race B to get an overtake done. You want to get into 6th gear, let the 6th gear build up the slipstream, and then try and go down the left hand side. And you can see, because we've done that, we've been able to get a better run, and we're actually going to be able to get a move done here, braking dead on the 300 board. Now we're going to go through the track guide. We're going to use that 300 board as our reference, and what you want to do then is try and hold a narrow line all the way through this right hand corner there, getting on the throttle as early as you can, and then going through possibly the trickiest section on this track in my personal view, these next corners. Very difficult, because with these hard tyres you've got to be pinpoint precise. You can see there, lifting off the throttle at this stage just to try and get that rotation through the corner, and being ultra cautious that we don't go into the dirt. We're then going to use the 400 board on our left hand side there, braking short of that. You really want to be a bit before the 400 board, and you really want to slow this car down and hold your right hand tyre almost following the white line through that corner. That's where the grip is, that's where you're going to get the lap time from. Now as we come through here, you can see we're going to brake pretty much level with where that barrier starts on the right hand side there, about just as we go into the middle of the track there. You can see onto the brakes, and you want to hold the line almost along that yellow, double yellow line in the middle, and then you're going to start bringing it over to the apex. But you're ultra cautious, try not to use any of the dirt. It's very difficult at the moment on this track. I really think they needed to put curbs on this track with the way the dirty tyres working. Then braking nice and early as soon as we got that car straightened up, and again onto the brakes after you've gone over the advertisement board and above the track, because you've got to get this rotated in first gear, and then accelerating out that corner in first gear into the next braking zone. We are going to use the 100 board on the right hand side. You can see it there, and you can see I'm actually braking a little bit short of that 100 board. That will give you the ability to slow it down, and again, left hand tyre almost follow the white line. I always use this white line along the left there as a guidance, and for this right hand corner what I tend to do is I try and keep it quite narrow to that apex. I don't like going too wide in. I always follow a very tight line for that. It's my personal choice on that corner. You might prefer a wider line to try and get a better exit maybe, but using the 100 board as our next braking reference, a little bit late I was there. I should have been slightly earlier on the brakes, I feel. And you're going to see as I come into the brakes, we're going to go a little bit deep because of that. It would have been better to hold a tighter line along the right hand side and then give yourself a better entry into this next corner. Now braking just as your left hand tyre is going over that double yellow line in the middle of the track. Be cautious you do not hit any of the bollards through that section. As soon as you do that, you are going to get a penalty, and avoiding penalties is going to be really important to staying out of trouble in this race. If you have a clean race here, your SR should be perfectly fine, but yeah, start getting penalties, you're going to be putting with other cars, and that's where the mayhem will start. So be ultra cautious on picking up them penalties. You can see we're going to go over the line here with the fastest lap of the race there, even though we were battling with Max for a bit of it, and now we're going to hold that defensive line again. You can see Max is going to try and send that round the outside, but the grip is just not there. You can see he's gone ultra deep there. We've took that tight line, and then he's had a big moment on the rear, and he's actually gone into the barrier slightly. And by the time we get to the end of the lap in, you can see we're still 4 attempts clear, trying to get a good exit off that corner, very close to the wall, just about avoiding it. A good little battle here with Max. Really enjoyed this. He drove really well and pushed us on this race quite aggressively. So again, into this right hand corner, better line this time, holding it tight to the apex. And now this gives me the ability to get a reasonable exit here. So trying to get on that power, but just don't be too aggressive. It's so tempting to floor it like I've done there, and the rear will start sliding. But we have a 4 attempts gap. Max is at the perfect slipstream now though. This is the slipstream you really want to get the overtake done, because it gives you the momentum. Keep an eye on his car, how much he's going to gain with this custom slipstream on. We're going to go over to the right hand side of the track. Just about going to be able to take the win here, it looks like it, as he picks up that momentum, and we just about take that P1. But a great race with Max Power there. So yeah, be cautious on this track with them track limits and also the dirt on the track. It's the way you're going to lose SR. So into the final race this week, we are at Le Mans, no chicane, in Group 1 Group C cars. Now I've put this safety rating risk as Shadow Round, because to be brutally honest, you're going to see people getting DR reset this week because of the way that the SR system works with bump drafting. Everyone's going to be bump drafting because of that long straight. If you don't, you're going to lose so much time. Also, the penalties on the track limits are quite difficult to get right sometimes with these cars, with the understeer from the Group C cars, and the car in general is just a high risk car. You know, I would probably be doing most of my racing on my second account. I can't see myself risking my main account on this combination too much due to the risk of getting a DR reset. So yeah, be very cautious on this. In terms of cars for this race, you are pretty much going to be using the Nissan. I've got to be honest with you. You can get away with the Mazda. The Mazda is definitely probably the best alternative, but the other cars just do not have that straight line speed. As we go past Mikhail's out there, he had a little bit of contact, I think, with the car in front, so he had to back out. And now what you're going to see here is look at Mikhail in the Sauber and watch the speed of my Nissan. Look at that. Even though he's in the slipstream, just watch that delta get bigger and bigger and bigger, because that Sauber just does not have the straight line speed compared to the Nissan. Now what you're going to see here is the custom slipstream strength. Look at the speed that we went past him. Now he's in the slipstream. He's starting to go back past me, but then they've moved over to the left, and now look at my car suddenly pick up the speed again. So yeah, this custom slipstream is very powerful, and you can see by the time we get to the braking zone here, just making sure that we brake early for this corner, because the ghosting system will kick in quite a lot there, and people are going to try and take advantage of it. Now what happens if people take advantage of this, as we go through a bit of chaos here, going past a few cars, is people are going to take advantage of it. It doesn't kick in that ghosting system, they're going to go straight into you, and it just causes a bit of chaos, I think, the way that PD run the ghosting system on this track with these cars. But on lap 1 up to P3 there, and by the time we're starting our way through lap 2 onto the straight here, we've managed to catch up to Hogzone, and we've got Mikhail right behind us again. Now the Sauber's advantage, you can see there, is we're 3 seconds behind the leader, but the Sauber's advantage is it's quick in the corners but not so quick on the straight, so that's how Mikhail managed to catch us back up there. But you can see we weren't even right at the start of the straight there, we were 3 seconds behind them. Now you're going to see why you do the bump drafting and why people are doing it as we fast forward it on the straight. Keep your eye on that delta. We're now coming to the end of the straight, and we're at 1.4 seconds. We've gained 1.6 seconds on him through bump drafting, and his lead has pretty much been demolished. He's got a half-second penalty, so that's great for me. We're into the slipstream now at 1.3. We've managed to pull away from Hogzone there, and P1 is going to take this penalty. So he's going to go through that penalty zone. We're going to pick up the slipstream, and we're going to try and go for a move on the outside in. Now there is a really good move you can do where you go fake, you go left then right, and then you get the inside line, but he looked like he kind of was aware of that, so we're going to go round the outside. Now one thing to be cautious of here is if the car was a bit further forward, we'd have to take that red line to give him space on the inside, but we were far enough ahead to take the normal racing line there and just go through that corner as we normally would. But yeah, just be very cautious in that overtaking opportunity for that corner. If the car is dead alongside you, you are going to need to take a wider line. You can't just take your normal racing line there, and yeah, it will end in disaster. So we're going to go through to the end of this lap here in P1, which is pretty good that we're in P1 from the back of the grid so quickly in this race. And that is what's going to happen a lot in these races. You're going to see that some races are going to work really well for you, some races are going to go really bad, and that's the way this race is, because it's so easy for people to make mistakes. And I think it's so easy just to get a bit of bad luck on this combination, because a lot of this race is going to be dependent on slipstream as well, whether you get lucky with that slipstream or whether you don't get lucky with that slipstream. But you can see, keeping an eye on Mikhail's out here, he's managed to stay 1 second behind in that Sauber. Now what you're going to see is why you really need to use the Nissan here. So it's a little bit quicker through some of these corners. You can see he's got it back to 9 tenths there, and through here I don't really hook that up, not the best corner. Mikhail gains another 3 tenths on us pretty much there straight away. But watch this, at 7 tenths the Nissan kicks in, and look at that delta already, straight away back up to 8 tenths, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger, the gap. Now by the time we got to the end of lap 3, you can see we got the gap to 1.5 to Ugandan behind us, and we're going to go through a track guide now for this week's daily race C. So we're going to go into turn 1. Now what you want to do is get the car over to the right hand side here, and this is just before you're starting to straighten this car up. You can see we're going to get onto them brakes. Now you want to be earlier on the brakes here, because you want to get it over the curb as much as possible, using these curbs, using the full track limits, and use the curb on the exit there to really propel yourself out the corner. Now again, keep the car to the right hand side. As you go past this last cone on the right hand side, as soon as the car is straightened up, you're going to be on the brakes and then downshifting into third, then second gear. So you can see onto the brakes, down to third gear, and then we're going to go straight down to second gear to try and hug the curb on the left hand side, then back up to third gear to try and accelerate all the way out the exit. Now, again, this is a real little, what I use, the delta. As soon as that sector split comes up, you're pretty much going to get on the brakes instantly after that. So look at that. Straight away after the sector split comes up, onto the brakes and chucking it into this corner in third gear, using as much exit as possible. Now, one thing to be cautious on this corner is the penalties. Right-hand tire needs to exit the curb before the end there. If the right-hand tire doesn't do that, what I recommend you do, if you feel like you're not going to be able to do it, is lift off the throttle, let the car for like half a second just lift off, then back onto the throttle. The game should recognize it, and often it won't give you a penalty. Now into the next braking zone at the end of the straight, we're going to brake just past the 100 board there, you can see. Now remember, if you are in a slipstream, you're going to be braking nearer to that 100 board. Be very cautious of that. Don't be going into this corner at 230 miles per hour thinking that you can brake dead on the braking reference, which I've done there, because it won't work out very well. Now into this fast right hand corner, you're going to brake just after the AstroTurf has ended on the left hand side there. Now we're going to just trail brake at the initial input and then get aggressive as we straighten the car out, getting the left hand tire up onto the curb and then accelerating down into the next braking zone, which we're going to use the 50 board on the left there, and we're braking just short of it. You can see quite a bit short of the 50 board. That's going to give us the ability to go down to first gear, rotate it in, up to second gear and accelerate all the way up this straight into the next braking zone, which again, we're going to brake short of the Astro. You can just see the start of the Astro with the colour change on the tarmac, braking short of that, and you want to go down to fourth gear and try and hold fourth gear. Try not to use third gear, because if you stay in fourth, you can accelerate without changing gear all the way through this sector with a little lift as we go through that corner there, and then onto the brakes just before the grass ends on the left hand side there. So you're going to see braking pretty much dead level with how that grass ends. And the reason you're braking quite early, because you want to keep the car tucked into this right hand side as much as possible to rotate it back into this next left hand corner. So we're using that RMC sign as our braking reference, braking just short of that, and then trying to get it over the curb and then accelerate through the corner. Really want to power your way out of that corner without running wide. Just remember, that's a track limit warning there. If you run too far wide, you're going to get a penalty. Now braking just past the start of the pit lane entrance, and we're going to go down to third gear using the curb on the left, and again curb on the right, down to second gear, and then onto the brakes. And then pretty much as we do that, we're going to go to first gear, rotate it in with first gear, and then back up to second gear for the acceleration phase. So into second gear, use the curbs and power your way over that finishing line. So hopefully that will help you out for this week's daily race. By the time we got to the end of this race, you can see there we had a comfortable victory of nearly 6 seconds from the back of the grid. So quite a nice race for ourselves. But yeah, hopefully these videos are going to help you out every week. We'll be adding new stuff in as we get more into doing this and trying to think of better ways to help you out. But yeah, let me know if you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember, members, this has been early for you, so hopefully this has helped you out also. Take care, everyone. Bye.